Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome to a guide on Tinderbox mining, which is a relatively new mining method that I've been using for the past few mil XP. And it's a way to speed up your XP per hour with the quarry by manipulating game ticks, basically. And I'll do my best to explain how it works and tell you guys the basics of how you can do it, because it's about a 20% increase in XP per hour, which is pretty significant, and you can basically get like 1.3 times EHP at 99, because EHP is 72k, and even without doing this, you can get like over 80k an hour, definitely. So it's pretty easy to get well over EHP doing this right now. I suspect it'll probably be changed, because this is very doable by any person who is willing to put in the effort, and is very rewarding in terms of XP per hour, and as far as I know is the highest XP per hour mining method that is actually viable. Purple sweets are slightly faster than this. They save one more tick every single time you move, so they are a bit faster, but obviously are not viable because of the cost. So basically, as I said, you are manipulating game ticks to be able to get the ore slightly faster. In short, you are basically making it so the fact that you have to walk between rocks is almost completely nullified by starting an action cycle when you are about to move and finishing it when you reach the rock. You're basically making it so that the walking time is sandwiched between an action cycle that you complete as soon as you get to the rock. So it saves in net it saves 1 tick every single time you move. It saves 2 ticks, but it takes an extra 1. So I'll backtrack a little bit. It's kind of difficult for me to explain, but if you really don't feel like listening to the complicated explanation, you can just skip to later in the guide where I just explain how it works. But it's pretty straightforward just from what you're looking at, but I will do my best to try to explain it so you can understand a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes, I guess. So starting off with the basics, 1 tick in RuneScape is 0.6 seconds. That's the shortest amount of time that actions can take place. Basically, you can have actions that take 0 time, like fletching bolts. You can make as many per tick as you can, basically up to a certain limit, but the limit is so high that I don't think anyone will ever be able to actually do it. But anyway, so yeah, certain actions like, fletching darts and bolts, casting magic imbue, stuff like that take 0 ticks. Most things in the game take a certain amount of time, and it's always in terms of ticks. Many of you guys have probably heard about tick manipulation methods such as 3-tick woodcutting and 3-tick fishing. Those are quite common at this point. And basically those also involve basically tricking the game into thinking that you're doing something else that takes less time than what you're actually doing. So in this case, mining ores takes a minimum of 3 ticks. It can occasionally take 2 ticks because of the way that the dragon pickaxe works, which is just weird coding basically, but for general assumptions, we'll say that it takes 3 ticks to minimum to collect an ore. You have the start of the action cycle, 1 tick in between where you're mining, and then 1 tick again where you have a chance of actually getting the ore, and then that cycle keeps repeating until you do get the ore. And for things like quarry, most of the time you get it on the first possible chance. For things like iron, you have a 100% chance of getting it on the first possible chance after a certain level. I forget what level it is, but it's actually fairly low. So that's why you always see that you swing your pick and immediately get the ore at iron, because that is taking 3 ticks. So for wood cutting, the action cycle starts, and then you have 2 ticks in between, and then you have a chance of getting a log. And then for fishing, by default, it's 5 ticks in total, 3 ticks in between. So why they chose to make those timings, I'm not exactly sure, but that's how it is. So the way that 3-tick methods work is that you start an action cycle that takes 3 ticks, and you finish it on a log. Or finish on a log, finish on a fish, whatever, something like that. So for example, collecting snow, which is a common one, takes a total of 3 ticks every single time you start collecting snow. There's a tick in between, and then you can collect an actual piece of snow, or a snowball, I guess is what it's called. And so you start by collecting snow, there's 1 tick in between, and then you click on the fishing spot. And so the game thinks, it only checks at the start basically of an action cycle. So it thinks that you're collecting snow, and then you finish by collecting a fish. And that's how it works for 3-tick fishing. Same deal for 3-tick woodcutting if you're using that, and other things that take 3 ticks. And when it comes into mining by default is 3 ticks, so standard 3-tick methods don't make any difference. However, it does take time to move between the rocks with this method, because there isn't any good setup for the quarry where you don't have to move your character at all. So this method takes advantage of the fact that you can start an action cycle by attempting to light a log, and then move between, move on the 2 ticks between when you can start lighting a log and when you would actually finish lighting a log, to effectively nullify the fact that you're walking between rocks time-wise. So it's not exactly perfect, because fire making is a 4-tick action, so it takes 1 tick to start the action cycle, and then there'll be 2 ticks in between, and then the fourth tick will be when you can collect the ore. But if you were to just move between rocks traditionally, it would take 1 tick to move, 1 tick to turn towards the rock, and then you would start the mining action cycle, which is a minimum of 3 ticks. So it would take in total 5 ticks to move between rocks, and if you're using a tinderbox, it takes 4 ticks minimum. So it saves 1 tick every single time you're moving between rocks. If you were to use purple sweets, it would take 3 ticks, so you'd be able to consistently 3-tick mining while moving. Basically, it would just make it so that in terms of time, it's like doing quarry without ever having to move, but obviously the cost of purple sweets makes it not viable. But that's basically my explanation of how this method works. It is complicated and a little bit difficult to explain, but the only thing I can really tell you, if that doesn't make sense to you, is it works. So as long as you do what I'm doing, you should be able to get these rates, as long as you practice it and get good at it. So yeah, what you do is you just mine 2 rocks. I always prioritize granite first. You use the tinderbox on the logs underneath you, and then you click on the adjacent rock immediately, and you walk towards that, and you should get the ore quite quickly, faster than you normally would. It's more clicks, more effort, and you get faster XP per hour. So the only thing that makes it a little bit more complicated, I guess, is that the logs will despawn if you don't pick them up. It takes 3 minutes after you drop an item for it to completely disappear. So, and I think it takes 1 minute after you drop it for other people to be able to see it, or maybe I think it's 1. But yeah, that shouldn't really become a problem for most people unless you have people like chilling waiting to steal your logs, but that won't really happen. But yeah, so you have to keep track of when you drop them and just get in the habit of picking them up every so often. It's not that hard to pick them up, and you can do it without losing ticks. Basically, you just have to click the logs as soon as you have clicked your tinderbox, pick up the logs, and then you can turn towards the rock and immediately get it, and it takes no extra time. So you should, once you get used to that, it should be fine, and it shouldn't be too hard, and you need to keep track of that. I also cast Magic Imbue, and usually cast Magic Imbue as I'm turning towards the second rock, because I've found that that's the easiest time to do it. You can also do it while you're moving, like after you've tinderboxed, so you can do that as well. I just prefer to do it as I'm turning towards the sandstone. And then that's pretty much all there is to it, I guess. Another thing, you do want to use your D-Pick spec or Infernal Axe spec, or Infernal Pickaxe, I guess it is. And it's best to time that if you can right after your stats have gone down 1. So if you use the OS Buddy plugin for that, then that can be handy to keep your +3 boost for as long as possible. But yeah, that's pretty much about all for this method, I guess. As far as gear, Prospector, and then Varrock Plate Body and Desert Amulet 4 are good to have if you have them, because Desert Amulet makes it so you don't need water skins, and Varrock Armor gives you the chance of increased ores. Well, a 10% chance of getting an extra ore, basically, and then Varrock Armor 4 acts as Prospector Top as well. So if you don't have Varrock Armor 4, then Varrock Armor 2 works fine. It just won't give you the Prospector Top effect, but that's like 1 or 1.5% more XP or something like that, so it's not a huge deal. But yeah, this is how I'll be doing my mining from here on. It's definitely noticeably faster, and I think is worth the effort, and I've been enjoying it. It's an interesting method, so if you enjoy click-intensive skilling, then feel free to give it a shot for your mining training. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys all later.